You're flying a MiG-25 Foxbat over the Middle East. Fast, high, confident. Your radar picks up a contact, single aircraft, closing from the west. You adjust your intercept angle. You prepare to engage. And then your radar warning receiver starts screaming. Someone has locked onto you. Not just locked, they've already fired. You brake hard. You deploy chaff. You're trying everything. But the missile is faster. It's tracking. And in the seconds before impact, you realize what's hunting you. An F-15 Eagle. Over 100 confirmed air-to-air victories across multiple wars, multiple adversaries, multiple decades. And in all of those engagements, across all of those years, not a single F-15 has ever been lost in air-to-air combat. Not one. This is not propaganda. This is documented combat history. And the question is not whether the record is real. The question is how one aircraft achieved a kill ratio that no other fighter in history has matched. The answer is not luck, it's design. The F-15 Eagle was introduced in the 1970s by McDonnell Douglas, now part of Boeing, with a single purpose: air superiority. Not ground attack, not reconnaissance, not multi-role flexibility, air superiority. The mission was to establish control of the airspace by destroying enemy aircraft before they could threaten friendly forces. Everything about the F-15 was optimized for that mission. Unlike fighters designed to perform multiple roles, the F-15 was purpose-built to win air combat. It was designed during the Cold War when the threat was advanced Soviet fighters like the MiG-25 and the emerging MiG-29 and Su-27. The U.S. Air Force needed an aircraft that could outperform anything the Soviets could field: faster acceleration, higher climb rate, better radar, longer range missiles. The F-15 was the answer. The result was an aircraft with one of the highest thrust-to-weight ratios of any fighter at the time. It could accelerate rapidly. It could climb almost vertically. It could sustain high G-turns without bleeding energy. Pilots described it as having more power than the aircraft could use. If you pointed the nose up and pushed the throttle, the F-15 would climb until the atmosphere ran out. But speed and maneuverability were only part of the advantage. The F-15 carried the APG-63 radar, one of the most advanced airborne radars in the world when it was introduced. It could detect targets at long range, track multiple contacts simultaneously, and provide targeting data for beyond visual range missiles. This meant the F-15 could see the enemy before the enemy could see it. It could fire before the adversary knew they were being engaged. And in most cases, the fight was over before it became a dogfight. The aircraft was designed to carry AM-7 Sparrow and later AM-120 AMRAAM missiles, both of which allowed engagement at ranges beyond what most adversaries could counter. The tactic was simple: detect the target at long range, lock, fire, the missile does the rest. If the adversary survived and closed to visual range, the F-15 still had advantages: superior maneuverability, a 20mm cannon, and AIM-9 Sidewinder heat-seeking missiles for close-in engagements. But most adversaries never got that close. The combat record started in the late 1970s and early 1980s with the Israeli Air Force. Israeli F-15s engaged Syrian aircraft over Lebanon during conflicts in 1979, 1981, and 1982. Syrian pilots were flying Soviet-built MiG-21s, MiG-23s, and MiG-25s. They were trained, they were experienced, and they were shot down in numbers that shocked military analysts. The Israelis reported dozens of kills with no losses. The engagements followed a pattern. Israeli F-15s detected Syrian aircraft at long range using their superior radars. They fired beyond visual range missiles. The Syrian pilots, often unaware they were being targeted, had seconds to react. Most didn't. The missiles hit. The aircraft went down. And the F-15s remained untouched. The U.S. Air Force added to the record during the Gulf War in 1991. Iraqi pilots flying MiG-29s and other Soviet aircraft attempted to engage U.S. fighters. F-15Cs shot down dozens of Iraqi aircraft in the opening days of the war. The tactics were the same: detect early, engage at range, maintain situational awareness. The Iraqis, despite having capable aircraft, were fighting blind. They didn't have the radar coverage, the command and control, or the training to compete with the integrated U.S. air combat system. And the record continued. Saudi F-15s, U.S. operations over the Balkans, engagements in Operation Iraqi Freedom. Every conflict where the F-15 was deployed, the result was the same. Victories without losses. By any measure, this is unprecedented. But the aircraft alone does not explain the record. The F-15 is part of a system. That system includes the pilots, the training, the radar networks, the command and control, the intelligence, and the missiles, all of it working together. F-15 pilots are among the most highly trained in the world. They spend hundreds of hours in simulators and live training exercises, learning how to employ the aircraft's capabilities in complex scenarios. They train against adversary tactics. They practice beyond visual range engagements. They rehearse contingencies for when things go wrong. And they learn to exploit the aircraft's strengths while minimizing exposure to threats. The radar and missile systems are continuously upgraded. The original APG-63 radar has been replaced in many aircraft with the APG-63V3 and APG-82, both of which provide even better detection and tracking. The AM-120 AMRAAM, introduced in the 1990s, extended engagement range and improved reliability. These upgrades kept the F-15 ahead of adversary capabilities, even as those capabilities improved. Command and control networks provide F-15 pilots with real-time information about the battle space. Early warning aircraft like the E-3 Sentry AWACS detect threats at long range and pass that information to fighters. Ground-based radars contribute. Satellite systems contribute. The pilot in the cockpit has access to a picture of the airspace that is far more complete than what the aircraft's own radar could provide alone. That situational awareness is decisive. It allows F-15 pilots to position themselves advantageously, to engage from optimal ranges, and to avoid situations where they are at a disadvantage. The F-15 is the tip of the spear, but the spear is supported by an entire system designed to enable air superiority. What makes the F-15 relevant today, more than 4 decades after it entered service, is that the core design was so successful that it continues to be viable with upgrades. The F-15EX, the latest variant, entered service in the 2020s. It uses the same basic airframe as the original F-15, but incorporates modern avionics, fly-by-wire flight controls, advanced radar, and the ability to carry hypersonic weapons and next-generation missiles. The aircraft can perform missions that the original designers never envisioned, but the fundamental design, high thrust, large payload, powerful radar, remains as effective now as it was in the 1970s. Older F-15C and F-15E models are being upgraded with new radar systems, electronic warfare suites, and weapons integration. These aircraft will remain operational into the 2040s and potentially beyond. The platform is so adaptable that it has outlasted multiple generations of fighters that were supposed to replace it. This longevity is rare. Most fighter designs become obsolete within 20 to 30 years. The F-15 has been operational for over 50 and shows no signs of retirement. That is a testament to the original design philosophy. Build an aircraft that excels at one mission, make that aircraft adaptable, and continue investing in upgrades that keep it ahead of evolving threats. The F-15 was designed to win air combat, and it still does. The record stands: over 100 air-to-air victories, 0 losses in air-to-air combat. No other fighter in history has achieved this. The F-16 has an impressive combat record, but has suffered losses. The MiG-29 has been shot down in multiple conflicts. The Su-27 family, while capable, has losses on its record. The F-15 Eagle represents a design philosophy that prioritized air superiority above everything else. It was not designed to be the most versatile. It was designed to be the most lethal in air-to-air combat. And for more than 4 decades, in conflicts across the world, against adversaries with capable aircraft and trained pilots, it has proven that philosophy correct. The aircraft has been upgraded, the technology has evolved, the tactics have adapted, but the mission remains the same. Establish air superiority, destroy enemy aircraft, control the airspace, and return safely. The F-15 has done that better than any fighter ever built. And the question is not whether the record is impressive. The question is whether any fighter, current or future, will ever match it. Over 100 victories, 0 losses. That is not just a record. That is dominance.